Hi everyone. I wanted to pop in today because I asked a question yesterday, and that was, what is the hardest part about handling the holidays and staying within your goals? And by far, the biggest answer was sugar. Sugar derails you during the holidays. Sugar. And we have Halloween on Thursday, and then we have Thanksgiving in about a month, and then we have Christmas, and then we have New Year's. And so this really triggers the 3 months at the end of the year where we have parties and we have celebrations and we have desserts and all these different things. So when I asked that question, it wasn't surprising necessarily that sugar is the biggest thing that derails you on the holidays from your health goals. So I wanted to give you a couple tips of how I navigate the holidays, and they just become an extension of my everyday life. There's nothing different to me about the holidays pretty much at all in terms of the way I eat. And so the reason that is because I have these guidelines and these habits set in place, and I'm going to share with you my perspective on that, and hopefully it will make it a little bit easier for you to navigate the holidays this year as well. So pretty much my food philosophy is that I can eat whatever I want, whenever I want, as long as it's made with the right ingredients. So that's number one, and that has made a huge difference in my life, because I totally used to be the person that would restrict like crazy. Like when I was a teenager, I got to the point where I was quasi-anorexic. I was kind of playing around with the concept, to be honest with you. I would skip as many meals as I could without getting noticed by my parents. I would avoid social situations that had food because if I chose to indulge in that situation, I would then binge like crazy. So if I went to a church event, or I went to somebody's house that had, dessert, whatever, like I had to completely avoid, or I would eat one, and if I ate one, I might as well eat the entire sleeve of cookies, right? So this is a really common mentality that we get into when we're trying to be healthy. It's like, I can't have this at all, and if I do, well, I've already blown it, so I might as well really indulge and enjoy this moment and then regret it later and really beat myself up. And then if that is the cycle you get into, it's a very continuous cycle, and it's very damaging mentally, physically. It's just not a healthy place to be. So when I figured out that there were certain foods that if I ate a certain way, I could manage my weight without a problem, and then I got really excited about it. And I was like, oh my gosh, I have to share this with everybody. This is crazy. Like, what do you mean I can eat desserts and not even feel guilty about it at all? So that was a huge turning point in my life. And I still meet a lot of people. It's very common that will go on vacation or will go through the holidays or whatever, or it's a really short period of time, really. And they'll say, oh my gosh, I gained like 10 pounds on vacation, like in a week. And oh my gosh, I just lost 10 pounds. Like, that's not something that's normal in terms of like a healthy weight gain or a healthy weight loss. And so when we're talking about a lifestyle, you really want to make sure that you have these boundaries and things set up in place so that mentally, first of all, you can relax, that you can chill out, and physically that your body is in a safe place. It's not getting traumatized. I mean, it sounds like a dramatic word, but that's what happens. And that it can function well, and that the metabolism is supported, and that you're getting the nutrients that you need. So what do I mean when I say I can eat what I want when I want, as long as it's made with the right ingredients? Well, that means that I have non-negotiables. So my non-negotiable is gluten-free. It doesn't matter where I am, what situation I am. It doesn't matter what day of the year. It doesn't matter if it's my birthday. It doesn't matter if I'm on vacation. It doesn't matter if the Pope comes to visit me. I'm gluten-free. And I was talking with a client today, and I said, it feels weird when you start being that person at the restaurant that says, hey, is this gluten-free? Or hey, can I have this gluten-free menu? Hi, Katie. And it feels awkward at first, but you get used to it really quickly because you feel so much better. And I tell everybody this, I've really never had a client that hasn't improved with eliminating gluten 100%. Like, like literally none of my clients ever feel worse when they get it. They only feel better. And it can have such a wide range of effects. But for the purpose of this conversation, one of the biggest things that it can do is encourage belly fat. So when we are eating more treats with gluten and sugar over the holidays, it encourages this belly fat storage. And the other thing that really, really sabotages our progress is that it also stimulates your brain and has an opiate effect where you crave more of that food, and it stimulates your appetite so you're more hungry. So raise your hand and comment below if you've ever been able to eat only one Oreo, because if you do, you have incredible will and power. I have really never met anyone like that. So there's a reason for that. It's the way that the food behaves chemically in your body, and it actually affects your brain, and it actually affects your appetite. And then certain foods really stimulate fat in the areas that we don't want, and weight gain and water retention, all these things. And gluten is one of the biggest ones. So that's like the foundational component of like where I start with my clients. I mean, we do a lot of other things. We do functional lab testing. We work on lifestyle. We work on nutrition way, way deeper than this. But this is like number one. Like in my book, if you're working with me, it's non-negotiable. So one of the reasons, like I said, that this is such a big deal around the holidays is that it does contribute to a lot of weight problems. And so if we say, I can eat what I want, but I just need to figure out how to do it in a way that supports my body, then you completely get rid of the restriction mentality, and you're able to actually enjoy everything you've ever wanted, cookies and brownies and cakes and pies and whatever for the holidays. But several things are happening when you make them with different ingredients. When you're making them with ingredients like coconut flour and almond flour and maple syrup and honey and dates instead of processed sugar and processed flours, when you're making them in this way, then there's a lot of stuff that's happening. One, you can enjoy it without feeling guilty. Two, the reason you can enjoy it without feeling guilty is because it is actually more nutrient dense with those ingredients than with processed sugars and flours that are pretty much nutrient void. So you kind of get a double whammy with processed sugary foods around the holidays. You're not getting any nutrients in them at all, and they're having a negative effect in a couple different ways. So when you switch to more whole foods ingredients, and maybe you're making these, and there are some companies out there that make our lives easier, but a lot of times with the holidays, like we make the pie and we bring it to our sister's house or whatever. So if you're home making these with these ingredients, then they're not stimulating your appetite. So you're going to feel satisfied after one piece. They are more nutrient dense. So things like honey and dates and maple syrup have a lot more nutrients in them than white sugar does. And they're not encouraging belly fat. They're not working on your brain as an opiate. So you can sit down and enjoy that one piece of pumpkin pie, and it was made maybe with an almond flour crust and coconut milk and all these different things, and simply shifting your mindset. Oh, I was getting a phone call there. I need to put on Do Not Disturb. Simply shifting your mindset to homemade and whole foods and natural and more nutrient dense allows you to eat all these foods that you want to eat around the holidays without deprivation. And this is how it turns into my lifestyle. So I eat dessert when I want dessert. So if I am really craving something, I will have if I have something in the house, I'll have it in the house. A lot of times it's like a piece of dark chocolate. But if I'm really craving like a mug cake, I'll make a mug cake. But I make it with different ingredients. So it'll have grass-fed butter, it'll have eggs and coconut flour and all these different things, or maybe a little bit of honey and some Enjoy Life chocolate chips, or gluten-free and dairy-free and all these different things. So it's a matter of, first of all, having a mindset shift, and then having your non-negotiables. For me, my non-negotiable is always gluten-free. My non-negotiable right underneath that's not quite as strong is dairy-free. And then my non-negotiable underneath that's not quite as strong is sugar-free. So it goes gluten-free, never; dairy-free, pretty much never; sugar-free, it depends on the situation. So because of those, I know in what situation I need to maybe plan ahead. or what situation I can splurge a little, or if this is okay. And because of that, and knowing my non-negotiables and knowing what I have ahead of time and making these ingredient swaps and living the way I live, I don't ever have to feel guilty, because I know that over the holidays, I'm not going to gain 10 pounds. There's zero way, there's zero chance, there's zero possibility that I'm gaining 10 pounds over the holidays. It's not going to happen because of the way I eat. So those are a couple of the tips that have really, really helped me. And primarily that's a mindset shift. But I know that a lot of you will need specifics, so I'm going to be sharing some Thanksgiving dessert recipes this week, and I hope that you will enjoy them. And I want to just leave you with this final thought. Doing this does not have to be hard. I am not someone that spends hours baking. I am not someone that spends hours in the kitchen making dinner. If it was going to work for me, it needed to be easy, it needed to taste amazing, and it needed to be doable. So I have really found that a lot of these healthier recipes are actually easier than conventional baking. So for example, where a lot of times with conventional baking, you really have to be super strict with the measurements, you have to shake, you have to sit. Paleo baking and some of these healthier recipes are basically like mix the wet ingredients, mix the dry ingredients, put them in the oven, and you're good to go. And they taste amazing. And then I have really found some bloggers and recipes that they're just really talented at using the fewest ingredients with the best taste. And so it's simple, it's natural, it's healthy, and it's easy to make. So if you want a specific recipe, maybe you want a pumpkin pie, maybe you like some sort of chocolate pecan pie or whatever for Thanksgiving, please let me know. But I will be sharing some yummy recipes, and I hope that this mentality, this mindset shift spoke to you. If it did, I would love to hear from you. Drop a comment below. Is this something that you feel like you could do, navigating the holidays, being gluten-free, maybe making some of your own desserts, and making this little bit of a mindset shift of, oh, hey, I can eat this. I can eat it whenever I want to. I just need to make sure that it's made with healthy ingredients and not ingredients that are nutrient void. They have no nutrients. And that's when you come into processed sugars, processed flours. So one more tip before I get off, because I definitely wanted to include this. One of the biggest issues around the holidays is that we go to other people's homes and we don't know what to do, right? Because they're making the dinner. Well, one thing that you could do is simply have a conversation with the host. So if it's somebody that's really close to you, then this might be an appropriate situation. So maybe it's your mom, maybe it's your sister, and you say, hi Abigail, I am going to come over, but these are my goals, this is what I'm doing. And if it's somebody that's really close to you, maybe you're cooking together, you can kind of work through the recipes. Or another option would be, can you share what your meal plan is? Because I have some goals right now that I'm trying to work through. And maybe there's a recipe that you can take. Or if it's not somebody that's close to you, or even if it is, another option is to simply bring something. Nobody's going to be mad at you that you brought the pie. Nobody's going to be mad at you that you brought a stuffing dish. By the way, I was telling my one of my clients today, I was like, I make this homemade stuffing every single year. I make this paleo bread the day before. I turn it into croutons or whatever, and then I take like a traditional stuffing recipe. It tastes just like traditional stuffing, and it's amazing. We don't feel deprived. It's super yummy. We're not canceling out any of our goals, and we feel super great. So really having those conversations is beneficial, and or picking the thing at the meal that's going to be the hardest for you. A lot of times that's dessert. And so switching into, I'm just going to take control of the situation. I'm going to bring a pie. I'm going to bring this. I'm going to bring this option for myself. Then allows you to navigate that situation. And with sugar in particular, I talked about gluten, but with sugar in particular, that obviously stimulates a lot of cravings and weight gain as well. And so when you switch to these whole food, healthier swaps for desserts, they still have some form of sugar in them. Usually it's from dates or honey or maple syrup or coconut sugar or something like that. But again, they have that nutrient density to them that's a little bit different. And a lot of times you're getting more fat in those recipes, and so it's a little bit more balanced out. So generally speaking, you don't see the same blood sugar highs and lows that you do with a conventional dessert. And so you're going to have a better weight management, better moods, better blood sugar stability as well when you make these changes. So I'm going to post some swaps. I hope they're helpful. Please let me know if you have any comments or questions. I would love to hear from you below, because I really want you to have a successful holiday season.